Thank you, Brian. Alrighty, so today I'm going to be talking about what I've experienced in the past 12 months for customer success. Let's start off with 2021. Tons of M&A activity. There was over almost $6 trillion worth of deals, and there was up 62,000 globally compared to 2020. Right? So flashback to last July, my very first day at cybersecurity firm RiskIQ, it's announced that Microsoft is going to be acquiring them. Very first day. I'm like, wow, good exit strategy, I guess. So yeah, really great, exciting. I mean, clearly Microsoft, behemoth, very powerful company. It was pretty exciting at the time. So yeah, and then fast forward to this last February, I decided to leave Microsoft and join Siemens. And right now, we are in the process of merging two companies. I'm in their smart infrastructure division. We have Enlighted, which is hardware and smart building infrastructure. And then we have Comfy, which is our workspace solutions app and software. So we're in the process of merging those right now. We're going to be rebranded in August as one company. So what are some of the challenges and issues that I've seen through both the acquisition and right now through the merger? Let's go to internal questions that everybody, myself included, is generally asking when an acquisition is announced, right? Why? Why are we being acquired? Why are we merging? How is this going to better position us in the market? What's going to happen to my job? Clearly, that's a very high priority question. What's going to happen to our office buildings? What's our brand going to look like? What's our product portfolio going to look like? Are we going to have one sales team, multiple sales teams? What CRM are we going to use? How will this impact our company values and culture? Then we have customer-facing questions. Will this impact the product quality? How is this going to impact the pricing for the customer? Is the customer still going to see value in our products? What new products are we going to be selling? Will there be conflicts of interest and antitrust issues now that we're part of a larger corporation? Would this change the process or the type of support that the customer would receive? So I think one of the main answers to all these questions is that communication and listening from leadership has to be spot on. They need to be able to communicate clear, concise, and consistent. And if they do those, strategy will be executed, people will want to stay, market adoption will be high with the product, churn will be low. The communication cannot be more critical during your weekly meetings, your all hands, and one-on-ones. And then also communication between product, customer engineering, and customer success needs to be established too. And I'll expand upon that in a little bit. And then yeah, having an official org chart though is super beneficial so that people can map out who's leaving, who's staying, etc. So let's go to renewals. In a third-party research study conducted by RevOps, 45% of companies indicated that their CS organization owns renewals responsibilities. Pretty much we already know that, nothing to just validating what we already know. So some of the key things that I've learned through the M&A in regards to renewals, definitely needs to be communication between deal desk and accounting on what are our current process with renewals and what do you think it'll be like in the future. On our MSAs and terms and conditions going to change? If so, do these introduce risk to retention and renewals? And does the framework by which we process orders and renewals change or adapt to new product portfolios? When will the new product offering and pricing be released? If we are sunsetting certain products, will there be an alternative option for this service? So right, if we're getting rid of a product, what's going to replace it? Clearly, customers are going to want to know that. And then how about our CRMs, Gainsight, Salesforce, Catalyst? Making account notes, making sure all those are up to date. All of those notes are part of the intellectual property. And then continuing to send out surveys, your NPS, your CSAT, CES. Pretty interesting to see, do those scores increase post-acquisition or merge? And you can, of course, get pretty granular with those in finding out why your customers are leaving. And then, of course, being able to identify what new tools are you going to have access to. With your new company, clearly lots of resources at your hands. And then, if you're merging Salesforce instances, you need to find out what is and isn't being used and get rid of what isn't, making sure that things are mapped out with the rules and technology, and then stopping all new integrations on a specific date while you're merging them. And then clearly, as several speakers noted yesterday, customer success has never been more important, especially if we do enter a recession, right? Keeping the accounts clearly very critical. And then, of course, if you compare your customer acquisition cost versus your retention cost, it's always going to be a lot cheaper to retain a client than to acquire a new one. So these are just kind of a brief overview of things that I've questioned, things I've experienced, again, within the past 12 months. But definitely want to open the dialogue for a lot of questions. I mean, a lot of startups here. I'm sure lots of people have already been through an M&A here, but definitely look forward to some of your questions.
I'll grab that. Thank you. And any questions coming up? Good.
Now, I was going to ask, when the acquisitions or the mergers were taking place, were there any telltale signs that you saw, warning signs or anything?
One more time.
Before the mergers or the acquisitions happened, at your companies, were there any signs or things that you saw that led to that?
Yeah, so when I joined both of the companies, those were already in process. My first day at RiskIQ was the day the acquisition was announced, and then of course when I joined Siemens, I already knew that the two subsidies were merging together.
Any other questions from the crowd? Get the steps in.
How does the M&A activity impact team morale, and what type of communication is needed to keep team retention strong? I mean, it definitely affects team morale. I mean, to a certain extent, Microsoft is Microsoft. So, a lot of people were excited, if anything. I mean, nobody was really, dreading anything. Microsoft's pretty flush with cash. So, yeah, but team morale, there's still, what's going to happen to my job? What's going to happen to my job? Definitely, that'll affect team morale. But, if we're at startups, isn't that the point? Isn't the point to be acquired? So to a certain extent, it's just kind of well, if you're sad about it, get over it. Shouldn't have worked at a startup.
Dominic, do you want to go?
Oh yeah, sorry. Probably better questions than mine here. But how do you, when you are the acquired or the acquiree, how do you think about what's the order of prioritization in terms of things that you need to kind of align for that to be successful? So is it systems and getting the Salesforce integrated? Is it go to market? Is it the HR side of it? The engagement? How is it the customer outbound communication? How do you think about those priorities?
Yeah, priorities. I think renewals needs to be number one priority, right? Renewals huge for revenue, and that's also again going back to product and engineering. If they come time for our customer's renewal, if we can't communicate with the customer what the current product, is it going to stay, is it going to change, and also if we can't upsell them, it's a huge risk factor on that customer possibly churning. So I'd say renewals would be number one priority on that. And then of course too, your tech stack, knowing what we're keeping, what we're getting rid of, and then merging. I'd say those would be the two biggest priorities.
Awesome. Next one I'll go to is, how do you suggest calculating those costs of retaining a client versus acquiring a new one? For new startups that don't have a robust finance team, hard to know.
Talk to your CFO. I mean, if you can't calculate your costs, then, I mean, that's something that you should definitely keep looking forward to being able to do. That should be a goal, yeah.
All right, and then what is your methodology for ruthless prioritization for CX ops?
Ruthless prioritization. Yeah, what would be methodology? I mean, it's clearly, again, going whatever your CRM is, making sure that if you can keep it and keep those processes aligning, that would be pretty high priority there.
And then you talked a little bit about mapping, I guess, org mapping for two different organizations. Could you just kind of walk through like what that process has looked like for you in the past?
Yeah, I mean, Microsoft was actually pretty good about it on their org mapping side, and so is Siemens. I mean, it's all like your internal intranet sites. Those are pretty critical as well for the org chart, but then also just to have an internal site where is a hub for all things that are changing, and HR can communicate those through that, and just having a single source of truth of knowing what's going on.
Awesome, cool. Any other questions from the audience? Cool, thanks, Michael.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.